The great space station Elysium hung quietly above the blue-green planet of Eris. It was a place where many races of the Galactic Alliance met to watch and plan. The Galactic Alliance was a group of many different alien species. They worked together to keep peace in the galaxy. But now, they were waiting for a battle that could decide the future of many worlds. Jace stood on the observation deck of Elysium. He was a young human cadet, still learning and training. He looked out through the huge glass windows at the vast fleet of ships below. Some were tall and sleek. Others were wide and heavy. All of them belonged to different alien races. Each ship had bright symbols and flags showing where they came from. Jace's heart beat fast. He was far from Earth, his home. Humans were new in the Galactic Alliance. Many aliens still did not trust them or think they were strong enough for real war. Jace felt the weight of their eyes on him, even when no one said anything. He knew they watched him closely. "Why send a cadet to such an important place?" whispered a tall, insect-like alien next to him. Its many eyes blinked with curiosity. "Humans are young. They have little experience." Jace did not answer. He knew words would not change their minds. He was not there to talk. He was there to prove himself. Behind him, the loud voice of Admiral Vorka, a proud warrior from the Rithian race, echoed through the hall. "The enemy. Fleet approaches. This will be the biggest battle in 100 years. We must be ready." The enemy was the Krell-Thak, a brutal race known for their speed and firepower. They had attacked many planets and taken over whole systems. Now they were coming to the Eris system, where many Alliance worlds lay. Jace swallowed hard. The peaceful time was ending. The Galactic Alliance had gathered the largest fleet ever, thousands of ships from dozens of species. But the enemy had strength too. The battle would be fierce. Jace's commander, Captain Celine, a tall woman with silver skin and sharp eyes, came to his side. "Cadet Jace," she said, "you will be assigned to the battleship Valiant. It is one of the fleet's most important ships." Jace nodded. His palms were sweaty. "Yes, ma'am. I won't let you down." Captain Celine smiled for the first time. "Good. You will learn much today." Jace watched as the fleet formed up in the great bay below. Ships moved smoothly like dancers finding their places. Jace's own small transport ship flew toward the Valiant. He felt the ship's engines hum through the floor. Inside the Valiant, Jace was amazed. The bridge was huge, filled with lights, screens, and controls. Aliens of all shapes worked quickly. The captain of the Valiant, Commander Rin, a tall reptile-like being, greeted him with a nod. "Cadet, your job is to assist the weapons officer. Stay alert. The battle will test us all." Jace took his seat next to a tall, blue-skinned alien named Drax. Drax was serious but nodded at Jace. "Don't worry. I will show you the ropes." Jace felt nervous, but ready. Outside the Valiant, the space grew dark. The stars twinkled coldly. The enemy fleet was closing in. The Valiant's weapons powered up with a low hum. Jace's fingers hovered over the control panel. Suddenly, alarms rang. The enemy opened fire. Bright blasts of light exploded around them. The Valiant shook. The first battle had begun. Jace's heart pounded. His training kicked in. He followed Drax's orders and helped aim the weapons. The Valiant fired back, lasers and missiles streaking through space. Around them, other ships fought hard. Some were hit and sent spinning away. The Galactic Alliance fleet tried to hold its line. Jace saw a Krell-Thak ship rush toward the Valiant. It fired a huge beam weapon. The Valiant's shields flashed and held. "For now! Shields at 50%!" shouted Drax. "We need to take that ship down." Jace felt fear but also excitement. This was real, not drills or training simulations. Lives were at risk. His hands moved faster, helping aim the ship's main cannon. The big beam of energy launched and hit the enemy ship. It shook and exploded in a flash. The crew cheered. Jay smiled, but he did not relax. The battle was far from over. Suddenly, The Valiant was hit again, harder this time. A warning light blinked red. "Damage to the engine room?" Commander Rin said sharply. "We must hold position." Jace looked at the stars outside, now filled with streaks of fire and explosions. The enemy was strong and relentless. Minutes passed like hours. The Valiant's crew worked fast to repair damage. Jace kept helping at the weapons controls. He felt tired but could not stop. The Galactic Alliance fleet fought bravely. Ships helped each other, covering weak points. But the enemy was pushing hard. On the bridge, Admiral Vorka's voice came over the loudspeaker. "Hold the line! We cannot let the Kreltak break through!" Jace looked around. Many alien soldiers had scars and burns, but kept fighting with fierce determination. He thought about Earth and the stories his father told him about battles on old warships. Humans were known for their courage and heart. Now, Jace wanted to show that same spirit in space. The battle was just beginning. But already, Jace knew this day would be remembered. He was just a cadet, but he wanted to be more. The stars outside flashed with light from weapons fire. The galaxy was watching, and so was Jace. The space around the Valiant was chaos. Bright flashes from laser blasts lit the dark sky. Ships twisted and turned, trying to avoid enemy fire. The Galactic Alliance fleet was holding, but barely. The Kreltak ships were fast and aggressive. They pushed hard, trying to break the line. Jace sat at the weapons console, his eyes sharp and fingers steady. The adrenaline pumped through him. He was no longer just a cadet watching from the sidelines. He was part of the fight. Suddenly, the communications officer's voice crackled over the speakers. "Commander Rin, we have a distress call from the Battleship Defender. They are under heavy attack. Their shields are failing." Commander Rin's eyes narrowed. "Defender is a key ship in this fight. If it falls, the enemy could break through." Jace's heart jumped. The Defender was a large, heavily armed ship, one of the best in the fleet. If it was in trouble, things were serious. "Captain," Commander Rin said, "we are sending a squadron to help Defender. Cadet Jace, you will be part of that squadron." Jace blinked in surprise. "Me, sir." "Yes," Rin said firmly. "You have shown skill. Now it is time to prove yourself." Jace swallowed and nodded. "Yes, sir." The Valiant's small shuttle docked quickly, and Jace climbed inside with the squadron. The other pilots were aliens from many species, all experienced fighters. They eyed Jace carefully but said nothing. The shuttle shot away from the Valiant and raced toward the Defender. Outside the window, Jace saw the battlefield up close. Enemy ships swarmed around the Defender, firing non-stop. The big battleship shook under the barrage. "Hold tight, everyone," said the squadron leader, a tall, muscular alien named Garthak. "We hit hard and fast." Jace listened carefully as Garthak gave orders. The squadron broke apart, moving to attack the Kreltak ships surrounding Defender. Jace's hands worked the controls, firing missiles and lasers. The battle was fierce. Enemy fighters darted in and out, trying to overwhelm them. Jace's shuttle took a hit, and alarms screamed. He fought to keep control, dodging more fire. "Stay focused," Garthak shouted. "We protect the Defender at all costs." Jace's mind raced. He remembered his training. He thought fast and acted faster. When one enemy ship tried to flank them, Jace saw it first and fired a missile that exploded just in time. The squadron regrouped and pushed forward, forcing the enemy to pull back a little. The Defender's shields began to stabilize. "Good work, squadron," Garthak said. "But the battle is far from over." Jace wiped sweat from his brow. The fight was tiring, but he could not stop. Suddenly, the shuttle's sensors beeped loudly. "Incoming Kreltak cruiser," a voice warned. The cruiser was huge, with many weapons. It aimed directly at the Defender. If it fired, the Defender could be destroyed. "Everyone focus fire on the cruiser," Garthak ordered. The squadron fired everything they had. Lasers, missiles, and plasma bolts hit the cruiser's shields. The cruiser fired back with powerful energy beams. Jace's shuttle shook violently. A blast tore through the wing, and the controls blinked red. "Damage! We're losing control!" Jace shouted. Garthak looked at him sharply. "Eject if you must, cadet!" Jace gritted his teeth. He was not ready to give up. He pushed the controls harder, fighting the damage. Suddenly, an idea flashed in his mind. "Garthak! Cover me!" "I have a plan," Jace said quickly. Garthak hesitated but nodded. "Do it! We've got your back." Jace took a deep breath. The cruiser's energy weapon was dangerous, but had a short cooldown time after each shot. He decided to use that. He flew his shuttle toward the cruiser, dodging beams. When the cruiser fired, he dove down fast, hiding behind debris. The cruiser's weapon was still charging. Jace fired a plasma bomb at the cruiser's engine ports. The explosion rocked the cruiser. Its engines faltered. "Engine failure!" Jace yelled. "Now's our chance!" The squadron surged forward, hitting the cruiser's weakened shields and weapons. The cruiser exploded in a ball of fire. The defender was safe, for now. Jace's heart pounded with relief and pride. The squadron cheered. Garthak clapped him on the shoulder. "You did good, cadet. You saved us all." Jace smiled, feeling the weight of his words. He was no longer just a student. He was a fighter. Back on the Valiant, the battle continued. Jace's shuttle returned with minor damage, but he was ready to jump back into the fight. Commander Rin looked at Jace with new respect. "You have guts, human. Keep it up." Jace nodded, his confidence growing. The battle was far from over, but Jace was ready for whatever came next. The battle raged on with no signs of slowing. The Galactic Alliance fleet, once confident and organized, now found itself tested beyond anything it had faced before. Ships were damaged or destroyed. The enemy Krelthak forces were relentless, pressing hard against the lines. It seemed the tide of battle might soon turn against the Alliance. But on the bridge of the battleship Valiant, a quiet energy filled the air. Jace, the young human cadet, was no longer just a nervous observer. He had proven himself in the fight to protect the defender. Now, the eyes of many were on him. Commander Rin stood near the tactical console, his scaled face tense. "The enemy is regrouping. They plan a heavy push toward the Central Fleet." Captain Celine nodded, her silver eyes sharp. "We need a new plan, and fast." Jace, seated at the weapons station, listened carefully. His mind raced. He thought about everything he knew, the tactics he had studied, the stories his father had told him about battles on Earth, and the instincts that seemed to come naturally to him. "Commander," Jace said, his voice steady but quiet, "what if we don't just hold the line? What if we surprise them with a small, fast squadron attacking their rear ships? It might confuse them and break their formation." Commander Rin raised an eyebrow. "A bold idea from a cadet. Explain." Jace leaned forward, his fingers resting lightly on the console. "The Krelthak focus all firepower on the front. Their rear ships are lightly guarded. If we hit them fast and hard, we can force them to split their forces and slow their attack." Captain Celine looked thoughtful. "It's risky, but it could work. We need a squadron willing to move fast and strike deep behind enemy lines." "Commander." Rin's eyes locked on Jace. "Cadet, will you lead this squadron?" Jace felt his chest tighten. The offer was unexpected, but he nodded. "Yes, sir. I will." The crew quickly prepared the squadron. Jace gathered a small team of pilots. Some were grizzled veterans, others young but skilled. Garthak, the tough alien pilot who had fought alongside Jace earlier, stood by his side. "Ready for the fun, cadet?" Garthak grinned, his mandibles clicking softly. Jace smiled back, feeling the nerves fade. "Let's make history." The squadron launched from the Valiant, slipping through the chaos of the battlefield like shadows. The enemy fleet was caught off guard as the fast-moving ships darted toward their rear. Jace's heart pounded with excitement. This was his chance to prove himself, not just to the Galactic Alliance, but to himself. As they approached the rear, enemy ships, the squadron fired volleys of missiles and lasers. Explosions lit the dark space as the Krelthak scrambled to respond. But the squadron moved too quickly. They struck precise targets: supply ships, communication vessels, and weapon platforms. The enemy formation started to fall apart. Jace's voice came over the squadron's comms. "Keep pushing! Don't let them regroup!" The Krelthak flagship, a massive and heavily armed vessel, turned sharply to face the threat. Its weapons locked onto Jace's squadron. "Incoming fire!" one pilot shouted. Jace's shuttle dodged beams of energy and missile trails. He used every skill he had to weave through the dangerous field. "Garthak, cover my left flank," Jace ordered. Garthak responded instantly, engaging enemy fighters trying to surround Jace. The squadron fought fiercely. Jace led them deeper into enemy territory, forcing the Krelthak fleet to split attention and resources. Back on the Valiant, the main fleet took advantage of the confusion. Galactic Alliance ships pressed forward, pushing back the front lines. "Commander," Rin smiled grimly. "Well done, Cadet. You've changed the battle." As the squadron returned, Jace saw the damage done. Enemy ships were burning and retreating. The tide was turning, yet the fight was not over. Jace knew the enemy would not give up easily, but for the first time, he felt hope. He was no longer just a cadet, he was a leader, and the galaxy was watching. The battle had reached a brutal stage. Both sides had suffered heavy losses. The Galactic Alliance fleet, once confident and steady, now bore scars of fire and destruction. The enemy, the Krelthak, still fought with fierce anger, refusing to give up their goal. On the bridge of the Valiant, the atmosphere was tense but focused. Commander Rin and Captain Celine exchanged serious looks. The war was far from over. Jace sat quietly, his mind replaying the moments of the last attack. The squadron's surprise strike had shaken the enemy, but it had also made them desperate. The Krelthak flagship, a massive and heavily armed dreadnought, now prepared to strike back. A warning blared through the ship. "Enemy flagship approaching. Weapon systems charging." The Valiant's crew moved fast, readying their shields and weapons. Commander Rin's voice was steady but firm. "All hands, prepare for impact." Jace's heart pounded hard. This was the moment that would decide the battle. Suddenly, the enemy flagship fired its main weapon, a massive energy beam that could destroy whole ships in a single blast. The beam slammed into the front of the Valiant, shaking the entire ship. "Shields at 10%, Drax shouted from the weapons station. "Divert all power to shields," Commander Rin ordered. The Valiant groaned under the pressure. Systems flickered. Alarms blared. Jace clenched his fists. The enemy wanted to break their line here and now. Captain Celine turned to Jace. "Cadet, this is your chance to help us. Win. We need you on the weapons console. Focus fire on the enemy flagship's weapon system. If we can destroy that, we can turn the tide." Jace nodded, swallowing fear. He moved quickly to the weapons console, his hands steady despite the chaos. The enemy flagship fired again, the beam sweeping toward the Valiant. Jace aimed the ship's plasma cannons, firing volleys of energy bolts at the weapon array on the dreadnought. The battle outside was fierce. Other Alliance ships joined the fight, sending missiles and lasers toward the enemy flagship. The massive ship rocked under the assault. Jace's console beeped. "Weapon system exposed, ready to fire." He took a deep breath and pressed the fire button. The Valiant's plasma bolts hit the enemy's main weapon. Sparks flew. The weapon exploded in a shower of flames. "Direct hit," the communications officer announced. The enemy flagship staggered, losing its main attack. The Galactic Alliance fleet seized the moment. Ships pushed forward with renewed strength. But victory came at a cost. The Valiant had taken heavy damage. Fires burned in the engine room. The ship listed slightly to one side. Suddenly, an explosion rocked the ship from below. The floor shook violently. Engine room critical damage! Alarms screamed. The bridge shook. Crew members fell but quickly regained their footing. Commander Rin's voice was calm but urgent. Damage teams, to the engine room. Stabilize the reactor. Jace watched as the crew rushed to save the ship. He wanted to help but had no skill for repairs. Then, a new order came. We must pull back for repairs or risk total destruction, Captain. Celine looked at the stars outside, where enemy ships still pressed the attack. We can't retreat. Not yet. Jace felt the weight of the moment. The Valiant was wounded but still in the fight. They needed a plan. Suddenly, the ship's sensors picked up an enemy squadron moving fast toward the Valiant's weak side. "We're vulnerable," shouted Drax. Jace's mind raced. He remembered how he and Garthak had fought as a team. Maybe they could try the same now. "Captain," Jace said quickly, "give me a small team. I'll take a shuttle and intercept the enemy squadron." Captain Celine looked surprised but nodded. "Do it, cadet. But be careful." Jace gathered a small group of pilots and boarded a shuttle. The Valiant's engines groaned as they tried to keep up. Outside, the shuttle shot toward the enemy squadron. The fighters were sleek and deadly, moving fast to strike. Jace's hands flew over the controls. He dodged beams and missiles, firing back with all his strength. The fight was close and dangerous. One of the enemy ships fired a blast that tore. "Through the shuttle's wing! Damage! Losing control!" Jace shouted, but he pushed harder, focusing on the mission. He targeted the enemy leader's ship and fired a plasma bomb. The explosion rocked the squadron. The enemy fighters scattered, their attack broken. Jace's team returned to the Valiant, tired but victorious. Back on the battleship, the crew worked quickly to repair damage. The fires were put out, and the engines began to hum again. Commander Rin smiled for the first time in hours. "We survived." Captain Celine looked at Jace with pride. "You saved us all, cadet. You showed courage when it mattered most." Jace felt a mix of relief and exhaustion. The battle had been brutal. Many had been lost. But they had won this fight. The Galactic Alliance fleet now held the line. The enemy was retreating. But Jace knew this victory came at a price. The war was far from over. He looked around at the faces of his alien friends. They no longer saw him as just a human cadet. They saw a warrior, and that changed everything. The battle was over. The stars were quiet again. The Galactic Alliance fleet had won. The Krelthak had retreated into the dark reaches of space. The war was not finished, but this day would be remembered as a turning point. On the command ship, Elysium, leaders from many races gathered in the Grand Hall. The air was filled with a mix of relief and pride. They were here to honor the heroes who had fought in the battle. Jace stood near the back of the room. He was tired and still felt the weight of the fight on his shoulders. His uniform was dirty, his hands shaky. He had never imagined he would be here, among such great warriors and commanders. The Grand Hall was filled with voices speaking many languages. The ceremony began. Admiral Vorka, the fierce Rithian leader, stepped forward. "We stand today to honor the courage of those who fought to protect our worlds. Among them, a young human cadet has shown bravery and skill beyond his years." Whispers spread through the crowd. Humans were still new to the Alliance. Many had doubted them. But now, the story was clear. The recordings of the battle played. On huge screens, the crowd watched in awe as the ships clashed, as the tide of battle turned. The camera focused on the moments where a small squadron struck deep behind enemy lines. The human cadet led that squadron. His quick thinking had saved the defender. His courage had helped destroy the enemy flagship's weapon. The audience gasped and cheered. Many had not known who the human cadet was before. Now, they saw his face on every screen. The hall grew quiet again as the leaders prepared to speak. Captain Celine stepped forward. "This cadet has not only shown great skill, but also the heart of a true warrior. He proved that humanity belongs here. in the galaxy's defense. Jace looked down, feeling shy under the attention. He whispered to the alien standing next to him, a tall being with green scales and gentle eyes. That was me. The alien looked surprised and smiled. You? The young cadet? Incredible. Jace nodded, a small smile breaking through. I just did what I had to do. The crowd cheered louder. Stories of humans' courage and resilience began to spread, faster than ever. From that day on, humans were no longer seen as weak or inexperienced. They were welcomed as equals in the Galactic Alliance. Jace's name became known across many worlds. But for Jace, the greatest reward was the respect of his friends and the chance to keep fighting for peace. As the ceremony ended, Jace looked out the window at the stars. He thought about Earth, about the long road that had brought him here. He knew the galaxy was a big place, full of danger and hope. And he was ready to face whatever came next. The human cadet had become a hero, and history had just begun.